Hi everyone. Today on Scouting for Growth, we are thrilled to welcome a true maestro in the realm of digital health ecosystems, and his name is Simon Guest. As the Chief Commercial Officer at the CareVoice, Simon has been instrumental in pioneering a differentiated approach to growth in the healthcare sector. With over 20 years of experience in senior management roles across international insurance companies and international markets, he brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise in life and health insurance. Simon's strategic vision has been pivotal in leveraging behavioral science to enhance personalization and user journeys at the CareVoice. His leadership, to be honest, is about integrating technology, services, and partnership, and that has not only expanded the company's reach, but also significantly enhanced its value proposition. Under Simon's guidance, the CareVoice will focus on creating multifaceted platforms that benefit from the network effect, where each new user or partner amplifies the cumulative value and utility of the overall ecosystem. So join us as we dive into the intricacies of orchestrating growth ecosystems for market differentiation, the power of behavioral science in healthcare, and the innovative strategies that have positioned the CareVoice as a leader in personalized health engagement. Simon's insight promise to be invaluable for anyone looking to understand the future of healthcare and the role of digital ecosystem in driving sustainable value creation. So please come with me and let's welcome Simon Guest to Scouting for Growth. Hi, Simon. Thank you so much for joining me on Scouting for Growth today.
Hi, Sabina. Great to see you. And look, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the chance to come and talk about what we're doing. So yeah, great to see you.
Great to see you too. And to give a little bit of context, I know you very well, Simon, but to give a little bit of context to our listener, can you give us a little bit of your background and your journey into CareVoice, right? Because this is super recent.
Sure, it is recent. So I joined the CareVoice at the beginning of 2024, so it's very new for me to be with them. Yeah, and look, the journey is an interesting one. So I've spent more than 20 years working in life and health insurance in various roles and in various countries. I guess you could divide it up into two sort of major blocks. 10 years working with AXA, first in London, where I worked really close to the sort of distribution part and to customers. So working with brokers and bank insurance partners on life insurance business, and then moved from that into product management, where I've spent quite a lot of my time and a lot of my career. I was responsible for the protection business line for AXA for Southern Europe and Latin America, based out of Madrid for a while, which was obviously a pleasure, and then moved from there to head office in AXA in Paris, where I was also responsible for the protection business line for the AXA group. And after that, moved from AXA to Generali, and helped to set up the sort of global business line structure there back in 2013, 2014, where I took responsibility for both health insurance and protection. And as part of that sort of journey, what I did really was to try to understand, as I'd done in my previous roles, how could we bring sort of interesting and innovative value propositions in life insurance, in health insurance to customers. And as part of that, in Generali, what I did was actually to establish the agreements, the partnership between Generali and Discovery to bring the Vitality business model to continental Europe. So then for 7-8 years, I set up the company inside Generali that did that. Put together the agreement between those two organizations, launched the Vitality business model in 7 European countries, scaled that up, and really sort of led an innovation business inside an incumbent, big global incumbent insurer. And when you do that, what you end up doing is really becoming sort of obsessed with the innovation part and trying to change the perception and the value of these type of products to customers. And as part of that, I got to know the CareVoice. I would say around 2021, 2022, because they were really coming into the market strong as a technology enabler for the insurance industry. And so, during 2023, I spent some time with them and came on board in 24. So yeah, that's how I found myself here, Sabine.
Yeah, incredible. And you already have talked a little bit about your path into some amazing global insurance players. What do you think are the issues, facing life and health insurers today? And how does this link to the current focus on digital health and wellness that you're embracing?
Yeah, look, I think it's having worked in this sector for 20 years. On one side, you become a little bit frustrated that a lot of the problems are still the same that you've seen over 10, 15, 20 years. But you see now that, the advancement of technology and the sort of macro climate of the focus on health and wellness brings opportunities to bear for life and health insurers, right? So, economically, it's kind of tough when life insurance business is at the mercy of interest rates. There's a real affordability challenge for people to pay for insurance products. Medical inflation means that the cost for insurers and therefore what they pass on to their customers is higher every year. And so, life and health insurance companies need to look fundamentally at changing their proposition into digital health and wellness, not only for sort of brand purposes or marketing purposes, but really to change the relationship with their clients and really importantly, to have an impact on their results, right? It has to impact on their P&L, otherwise the investment isn't worthwhile. And somebody explained it to me in terms of, those companies, life and health insurance companies have to move to a situation where they are offering this end-to-end prevention and digital health cure services in one sort of orchestrated way, and then provide the insurance as a warranty behind that if the client needs it. But fundamentally the system has to change now, and this is why this focus on digital health and wellness today is so unique.
It's interesting, right? But because when we start looking at the way the customer behave and what the customer wants, at the end of the day, we always talk about customer centricity and customer relationship and customer engagement. Well, the customer want wellness. You want to feel well. You don't want a headache. You want the remedy to the pain. And often, when we buy insurance, we have a lot of insurances across the board to protect us, but we rarely use it. And so when you look at situation like we've been in the past, I guess, 12 months, high interest rate, high inflation, high cost of capital, and you already mentioned healthcare inflation, you have to think about it differently. And I've heard quite a few people have come out of their health insurance program actually in 2023, Simon. So how has customer expectation evolved in your experience relating to those relationships with the insurance company, and how can that change in the future potentially?
Yeah, look, I always, when people that I know, sort of friends and people that I know don't work in insurance, ask me about, what we do. I mean, on one side, it's, we should be proud to work in and around this industry, but there are not many products where you ask people to pay a lot of money for 20 years in the hope that they never use that product. I mean, there are not many situations where that's the case. And so, fundamentally, we have to change the value proposition for customers in this industry, and insurance companies have a role to play, and technology companies like the CareVoice have a role to play as well. People these days, especially younger generation who are looking for the first time at what kind of insurance coverage they need, the perception of having a situation where they are paying for so many years for a product that they will probably or maybe not need, or where they don't want to use it, means that we have to turn around that relationship now. And so we have to make sure that those products are personalized, they are arriving in the way in which people live their lives on their mobile phone, in the life in which they live today. And they have to be able to experience things like digital health and digital well-being in a way in which they experience other products, in the health and wellness environment. So, people who track their activity or are participating in sports and are using it in terms of building a community and things like that. So, we can't rest on our laurels in a situation where, for the next 20, 30 years, we just expect people to buy life and health insurance products without having that perception of value and feeling that from the first day they're getting some value back from paying into those products.
Yeah, and digital health platforms, and you mentioned mobile devices, allows us today, to have those teleconsultation and teleconversations, I would call them as well, where you get that safety, right? This peace of mind if something happens to you, because I live in United Kingdom, and sometimes seeing a doctor is really, really hard, Simon. And so being able to talk to somebody on a digital platform and feel peace of mind that maybe you don't have anything is very helpful. And they now can actually even provide you with your medicine, your prescription through those devices, which is often seen as revolutionary. But to be able to do that, Simon, we need to look at orchestration. And you mentioned this early on, that it's all about orchestrating ecosystem for growth. So can you share with us your insight into the importance of orchestrating digital health ecosystem, and I guess partnership as well, for driving market differentiation, and I guess how CareVoice is doing this today?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think when you look out in the market now, in all different aspects of the digital health and wellness world, the amount of solutions and services and providers out there is kind of extraordinary, right? I mean, there are so many companies that are playing a role in this area. And then, as you said, when you look on the other side of the coin, you have sort of health systems, for example, which are struggling and failing and that are underfunded. But how, as an insurer, and then how, as a customer, do you navigate that situation? Because you can find multiple solutions. You don't necessarily know if they're going to be the right ones for you. The experience might be different. You don't know if really you're going to get the best advice. You don't know if you're going to get the best solution that's going to help you for that. And for our clients, for our insurance clients, they're always struggling as well with the debate around, should they build that kind of capability internally, or should they buy it on the market? And there are pros and cons of each one. And what we do at the CareVoice is we really position ourselves in that space where we say, look, our insurance clients often have those kind of services. They are good. They are well put together. They are scientifically proven. They are going to be a great solution for their customers. And for some solutions, our clients don't have that, and they are looking for an external party to bring it. And so we play this orchestration role. But what I think is really important is that we give back to our insurance clients control over that. So, we make sure that from their customers' perspective, the end user of those digital health services perspective, that the experience is good, it's unique, it's holistic. They feel like it's part of one program of managing their health and well-being, and they get value out of that. But what's important in our experience is that you find someone that has that sort of open ecosystem approach that can bring together the best services that you can find out in the markets, that will constantly evolve that. And so we think that we're playing that role between build and buy, but making sure that in the end consumer gets the best experience and the most critical experience. Because when it comes to your health, you can't make mistakes. That's I think what's important to remember.
Yeah. When you think about health, you cannot make any mistakes. And also, I think what you infer, Simon, is, a relationship with a group of customers from an insurance viewpoint could be very different from another. And so therefore, orchestrating and managing those ecosystem of different partners, players is critical, because one players which would be relevant for insurance company one will be very different for insurance company two, which takes me into behavioral science, because this is a magic, I guess, which is behind the platform. So tell us, how has the CareVoice utilized behavioral science to enhance user engagement and also personalize healthcare experiences for patient, customers, user? What do you call them actually as well?
Yeah, look, and I think what we have to be able to do now is to be even more granular than saying, what's important to one insurance company's clients is different to another insurance company's clients. It's much more granular than that. So, within a portfolio of health insurance customers, you will have some that get their policy through their employer. You will have some that get it directly for them as an individual. You'll get some consumers who like to consume those services in different ways and at different times and with a different approach. And so actually what you have to be able to do is to sort of hyper personalize the experience for that individual. So maybe it's an individual that has issues around mental well-being, and they value coaching with somebody on a screen, but it's an individual on a screen more than they do online games to help them to relax, or whether it comes to reading articles or listening to music. So people can consume this kind of service in different ways, and we have to be able to hyper personalize that, not just for each of our clients, but within those clients to the different groups of end users that we find. And so obviously having the data for that is extremely crucial. And one of the things, as an orchestrator of a lot of these services, we are able to sort of generate that raw data, and also to use it in understanding how people consume our program, no matter which of our insurance clients they come from. And that allows us to sort of build engagement frameworks, right? So how we nudge people to engage in our program, how we catch them if they leave and bring them back into engaging. We see what sort of puts them off and what drives them to keep using the program. So a combination of understanding behavioral science, having the data, making sure that you constantly evolve the program, you test, you see what works and what doesn't work, and you be flexible. And then what we do with that is we obviously take that knowledge that we have with the data and with the configuration tools that we put together for our insurance clients, and we give them that sort of power to really drive the relationship and the value that they are bringing to customers. So it's really putting those three things together to create, as I've said a few times, a really hyper-personalized experience.
And, I was having a conversation just yesterday around personalization or hyper-personalization. The world we have entered is a world of niche market segment. And that is an expert in marketing. We were talking about humanizing experiences, actually. And one thing which came out of our conversation is not only do we deal with micro niches, but we also deal with macro events and macro experiences. And so the whole customer journey needs to be shaped based on that behavioral analysis in science. So that is the first point I would like to echo from what you just said. The second point, I think, which came to mind while you were talking about mental health is, the platform and the asset which are available, the digital asset which are available to us today, are so personalized. As part of a project, I've been playing with one mental health platform, which is quite renowned in our insurtech world. And first I didn't want to use it. I said, you know what, I don't have mental health. Why would I use this thing? And because I was doing this project with this insurer, I played with it. I realized that I had a really big preconception of what mental health was. And the app was just recommending to me every day, I said, have you listened to a piece of music? It could be as simple as that. And based on my profile. So my profile was, breathe more and listen to music as well, which I thought was super interesting. Which takes me, Simon, to therefore, what are the most challenging things we need to consider within the space of digital health today to create that education and create that awareness? I was a, miseducated participant, which learned a lot through my mental health experience testing platform. What are some of the core challenges you think we face, or maybe the industry faces now, while developing and managing digital health ecosystem? And how have you maybe addressed them in your past experience, and how you're planning to address them today?
Yeah, sure. I think it's a really good point. And look, I spent 8-9 years now sort of building digital health ecosystems that have launched in different countries to different end user populations in different ways. And so I think what you learn quite early is that you don't get it right first time and sometimes second time, right? So, you can sit in a sort of strategy meeting and try to define what kind of approach to take in certain situations and what kind of services to offer and how and what is going to have the biggest impact. But actually, the reality is that your customers will tell you pretty fast what works and what doesn't. So you have to be really careful on a couple of axes. First is not to start with too much complexity, because people consume this kind of service slowly. They want to trust it. They want to test it and then go back to it a little bit later or try different options. And so you really have to start these things small and quite simple and be focused on the customer experience and make sure people are having a good feeling when they are using it. And as I said, you will get it wrong. You'll get it wrong once, twice, three times. And so if you are building these type of health ecosystems, you don't want to be in a situation where you are stuck with that proposition for not even 4 or 5 years, but sometimes not for 4 or 5 months. You have to be able to change it, to adapt it, to flex it, to be able to have that technology approach where if it's not right, you can fix it and you can go back to it. And so I think one of the things that I'm excited about that we do at the CareVoice is we basically provide that open ecosystem tool to say, look, we have a situation here where you can test what works for your end user population. If it works, great, we will see the data and we'll be able to feed that back into the product evolution and the ecosystem evolution. If it doesn't work, let's try something else. And because we're able to do it in a very sort of hyper-personalized way, you're really testing in quite sort of precision way what works and what doesn't work. And of course, working with a partner like us means that we're also constantly looking for what is the future in terms of innovation, in terms of ecosystem partners, in terms of services, in terms of what works. And we're able to share that experience with all of the different insurance clients that we have. So look, I think it's, you don't get it right first time. It is a challenge. Don't take it too complex too early. Learn, be flexible, and be ready to change your approach as soon as you can, really, I would say.
But then what does it mean in terms of strategic partnerships, Simon? When you start looking at your digital health ecosystem and those amazing companies you're already working with at the CareVoice, and then, building strategic partnership for a long time, right? This is the only way you can succeed. How this collaboration contribute to the platform's value proposition and growth?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of the things that we've done from the beginning of our journey. I think we have sort of more than, 70 partners now that we work with, or 70 sort of digital services that we get also from third parties. And also, we have the experience of working with our insurance clients and bringing their services that they've had in the past into our ecosystem. And so we're able to see that. But of course, you have to find strategic partners that have the same vision as you. I mean, I'm always asked, how do you choose them? Well, I think the interesting part there is that you can find a lot of cool things out there. And there, as I said at the beginning, there are the amount of solutions, the amount of companies that are developing these kind of solutions are multitudinal, but you have to find the right ones. And then it's really about finding ones that are the fit for us. They have to be embedded in the customer experience we provide to our clients. You have to be, this is something you have to be really fundamentalist about. You have to make sure that all of the different strategic partners that you bring, or the partnerships that you bring into your program, are in the end serving what you want, which is to provide this sort of unique and innovative experience for every customer that is using your program. And we're constantly on the lookout. So look, I mean, if there's people out there that are offering innovative and impactful digital health and well-being services, I'm here and I'm ready to listen, because this is a core part of what we are bringing to the market.
So, I can see the CareVoice expanding globally. And as we know, in Europe, we have to deal with a lot of regulation and diverse regulation. So how do you plan at the CareVoice to navigate the complexity of the regulatory landscape that we actually currently experiencing across different markets? And then how do you compound or reduce this when you start looking at it on a global basis?
Yeah, look, I mean, in the end, we are a digital company. So we're able to operate wherever our clients are. And we are able to set up those kind of, operational systems and data storage, no matter what, where, depending on where our insurance clients are. And so, we operate in Europe at the moment, we operate in the Gulf, we operate in LATAM. So we are already operating in many different parts of the world. And what we do is obviously partner with our insurance clients to make sure that we are respecting those regulatory issues. But I think as well, what I learned in 20 years of working in insurance companies is that there needs to be also a kind of change of mindset, because the use of data and the use of ecosystems like this to improve the experience for customers, to improve their health and well-being, to improve their consumption of insurance products, which in the end, helps to take away funding issues from national health systems, et cetera, et cetera. It's here and it should be embraced, in my opinion, more than it is today. And so I think there's really a partnership spirit that has to be developed between companies like the CareVoice, insurers, and regulators to say, okay, there's an opportunity here that benefits everybody. So you have to go through the process of making sure that you are managing data correctly. And what I also learned, Sabine, was from end users of this product is that they are willing to exchange their data if they trust what you are doing with it, if you have the right things in place. And actually what you get back is valuable for them, right? So there is an exchange there in terms of feeling safe and secure about how your data is used, but that you're also getting something if you choose to share it. And I think digital health is a really critical moment there, because your example of finding it difficult to get a GP in the UK. Well, you would probably say, look, I'm happy to share digitally some of my medical background. If that means that I get quality care faster and in a digital environment, that's a trade-off that I'm willing to make. So, I think this is one of the future evolutions that we will have to get to in the industry, is to really find the right way in which everybody benefits from that.
I want to also highlight something, Simon. Whilst it is difficult to find a GP or to get a doctor in the UK, after I reach 50, I get all the letters now. So I reached this threshold that they want to see me now more often.
Sure.
I'm
You're
being
getting
careful
invited.
around how I complain about access to
Yeah.
GP resources, which takes me to still global expansion. Right? You mentioned you have experiences and clients in LATAM, in the UAE, in Europe. And so what is your view around your approach to leveraging global markets for expansion? Do you have an idea as to where you would like to see the CareVoice more present in the future?
Yeah, look, I think my first answer is we are geographically agnostic, Sabine. So
Yeah.
we'd love to work, as a digital platform, we can work anywhere. I would love to see us in the US market. I think that's really an interesting target for us, given my experience also working in sort of global insurance companies. The sort of challenges that are faced in the US market around sort of enforced populations of life insurance clients, for example, and then. So I can see us expanding more, into the US and also more in Europe. But we are, as I said, we are geographically agnostic. We think from the experience we've had so far, being in Europe, being in LATAM, being in the UAE, being in Asia, we're ready to take our product wherever it needs to go, and we're in a good situation now because of the way that we built our technology to scale that in a very efficient way, and so this is really our big priority for 2024 and beyond, to take the CareVoice much wider from a market perspective.
Yeah. You remember, Simon, in 2021, I believe, we wrote this paper on embedded health, because we were, that was a year of embedded, and I didn't want to talk about embedded insurance as the thing which is so murky in some ways. I wanted to go into something much more, touchable, by our community and users, and so therefore embedded health was a topic. And we talked at the time about orchestration as well, and the different business model. How do you see the CareVoice sustaining its proposition for its user, its partner in the future? Is orchestration the way to go?
Yeah, look, I come at it, and this is where I think I bring a slightly different perspective to the CareVoice, is that I come at it really from having that insurance background. And you know, what insurance companies learn fast, right? And so this kind of capability around orchestration, around putting together ecosystems, around managing data, around understanding customer engagement, this is something that insurance companies want to do, and it's something that they will learn, and they will build that capability internally. And so I think at the CareVoice, we positioned ourselves very well in the middle there, in which we have a system which as I said before, is really this sort of open ecosystem technology approach. We can integrate partners that we bring or that they bring. We can evolve, we can bring innovation, but in the end, what we give to our insurance clients is that piece of technology and that data and the configurability tools that we have for our clients that allow them to shape the proposition that they want. In the end, nobody knows their business and their client base better than our insurance clients. And so we want to bring our technology and our innovation approach, but also to give to our insurance clients that configurability, that data, and that ability to shape the propositions that they want. And because this will be the future in terms of connecting data, not just from a customer engagement or marketing point of view, but into insurance pricing, in terms of underwriting, in terms of offering insurance products and doing sort of initial risk assessment through these kind of products, that we think our proposition fits well there, because we bring the innovation, but we also give that level of control and configurability to our clients, and that's what will put us in a good shape for the clients we work with today, and also for the new ones that we'll work with in the next years.
You said insurance company learn very fast. And, when I was starting talking about digital ecosystem, which was in 2020, I did actually a documentary with CBS News on that specific topic. It was interesting because it was still new. And the reason why the topic was still new is, insurance company like working with inside, right? They build their own technology. Everything needs to stay within. And then gradually, I think the market realized that they just need to focus on what they are best at and differentiating their proposition, and then let others enter their ecosystem to allow them to move a little bit faster. So my question to you is, what is the future of digital health ecosystem? Are we going to see them expand further? Is there a different path you see in the evolution of that very specific way of building the new business models of the future?
Look, I think some of the challenges that we talked about at the beginning won't go away, right? So the issue of access to healthcare, the issue of the cost of healthcare is only going to go up. For insurance companies, they still face the issue of having not being able to serve an underinsured population in terms of the protection gap around life insurance and health insurance. So these things are there, right? But then on the other side, what we are still at the start. I mean, this kind of business model around digital health and well-being has been around for a while, but it's still really at the start of its evolution. And now that it shows the ability to engage digitally with customers and put them inside a new type of proposition, we have to be able to break how narrow are the distribution models that occur today, because they are very narrow. In a lot of sort of traditional global insurance companies, 80-90% of the business comes still through tied agent networks or brokers, and so that really brings the narrowing of the focus. It doesn't attract the next generation. So as well as being a great tools for helping people to get better or to understand the health issues they have or be in prevention, there are customer engagement tools as well, right? So you're going to be able to communicate with your customers. You're going to be able to propose new products to them. You're going to be able to have more personalized approaches. You're going to be able to make the experience better for consumers who want to consume insurance products as well, because you know something about them. You won't need to go through the traditional 30 pages of underwriting medical questions and then asking people to go to the doctor, which doesn't exist. And so these things you'll be able to solve as well, because what you're creating is really an exchange of knowledge between insurance companies and end consumers. And so we have to be able to use that as an industry, technology companies like us, insurance companies, national systems, where that engagement is solving some fundamental issues that, the lack of protection, narrow distribution channels, increasing costs. These things can be really solved by the evolution of these kind of programs. And so we have to think a little bit bigger than just, how many steps did you walk today, to how are we really going to leverage this technology to solve more macro issues that we have in many countries around the world.
Yeah, protection gap being a massive one. I believe quoting Swiss Re, it's a $1.8 trillion dollar gap. And looking at distribution, also, it's interesting when I think about France or Central Europe, Germany, where the broker is still very, very much there than the United States. And the UK probably, I think now is probably 30, with 30% probably much more digital and direct to consumer proposition, but still, using potentially what I call the digital brokers as well.
Yeah.
Do you see this changing at all? Do you see us changing the way we buy as users?
Yeah, I think so. And look, it is a struggle. I know from my past that it is a struggle because, as an insurer, you are reliant for your next year's revenue, your next 2 years' revenue from your existing distribution channels. And so it's tough to think that you can break that model for the longer term if it causes you shorter term pain. And this is something that insurance companies wrestle with from a sort of strategic point of view. But where there can be no doubt is that a better engagement of customers on a more regular basis, where you bring value to them for having that relationship with that insurance company, will bring value for the insurance company and also for those distributors as well, the traditional distributors, if they know how to leverage it, because their customers are getting value, they have a stronger relationship, they feel like it's something that they value having more than they used to do in the past. But for the insurers who invest in it, it has to give them an opportunity to tap into pools of potential customers that they haven't been able to for the last 10, 20, 50, 200 years, or however long this business has been around. And if they don't do it, then consumers will either walk away or they'll force a change of model, and new entrants will take that space. So I think, as always, the consumer will drive the way it goes, and that's not a bad thing in my view.
Yeah. So insurance, 335 years, if I'm right, with Lloyd's of London. I do know the number. I think the Zurich reached 150 years last year, and I think generally is it around 150 years?
Almost 200, if I remember well.
Generally, okay.
Yeah.
So you see, we have some long-lasting players in our market. But finally, my final question to you, Simon, is what advice would you give any aspiring leaders looking to orchestrate successful digital health ecosystem? What would you advise them to do? What would be your word of wisdom to the market?
If I try to summarize it, I think I mentioned it before, but you have to be like when you are working in a creating a sort of digital health ecosystem with multiple players, try to find something that has the alignment of everybody in the right way. So, having done that in the past and built a sort of digital innovation business in an incumbent, unless you provide some reward for everybody who's participating in the game, all the players in the game, you will find that you will get pushback and you will get resistance. So for your strategic partners, for your customers, for your distribution partners, design something that brings value to everybody, and then you will find that people are that they'll go along with you, right? And importantly, historically with things like health services, they weren't pushed because it just generated more costs. So the more people that use it, the more it costs. So then you have a misalignment of interest. So I would say be a fundamentalist around your customer journey. Make sure you are bringing people on board into that ecosystem that have the same vision as you, and put in place a system where at least economically everybody benefits from driving your ecosystem to its maximum potential. And if you can work on those three things, you've got a pretty good chance of making it succeed.
That's super cool. Thank you, Simon. So I think we are going to see each other very soon at ITC EU 2024. So where can people find you, and what are your plans for this upcoming conference?
Sure, yeah, you will absolutely see me there, as always, Sabine, at ITI in London on the 20th and 21st of March. So I would love to meet anybody who has an interest in this topic. We can discuss that. You can also find me obviously on LinkedIn. You can contact me on simon.guest@thecarevoice.com. I guess, Sabine, with your reach through Scouting for Growth, people are going to see this and want to get involved in a discussion. And I look forward to doing that with anybody that plays a role in this environment and building digital health and wellness for the future. So yes, we'll see each other there. I'm looking forward to seeing other people there as well. So don't hesitate to reach out if you want to discuss what we're doing here at the CareVoice.
Wonderful. Well, Simon, thank you very much for joining me on Scouting for Growth. And yes, I've talked to a few health ecosystem players in recent weeks, so I think we are going to make some intros as well. So thank you for joining me, and looking forward to seeing you at the conference in just a few weeks.
My pleasure, Sabine. Always great to see you. See you in London in a couple of weeks.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Scouting for Growth. Please subscribe, share with friends, and leave a 5-star rating. Your rating is so valuable. I review all of them, and my team help me adapt content to meet your needs. Also, connect with me on my preferred channels. I am a B2B growth expert, so you will find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Threads, and X as well as Blue Sky. All information available below. Until next, keep scouting for growth.